Um,
Um, my mic's working okay.
okay,
Uh,
I can hear him now.
okay. Hey, Sarah, you still out in Texas?
Yep. Yeah, good news. I mean, yeah, triple digits are finally over. Yeah, bad news. Yeah, second time this month we had a blackout incident.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
uh,
Texans get from tornadoes to hurricanes to all kinds of haberdashery. I know a
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
few.
usually the
yeah.
hailstones that we tend to look for in the severe weather around here.
All
Yeah.
right. Now we're all suddenly here. People, I want you to meet Travis Blaise. He's one of the animators on the film Lilo and Stitch.
Hello.
He animated a
Oh,
little blue
hey.
hero, Lilo, and he animated a little blue
Hey,
hero.
hey guys.
Um, his
Can
brother, Aaron Blaise, directed the follow-up movie Brother Bear.
hmm How are you guys doing?
Enjoy that one, actually. I enjoyed both those films. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Can you
Uh,
can you can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear
I can hear
you.
you.
I'm
Okay, great. I only have a few minutes. I'm sorry. We were doing a live stream. We do it every Wednesday, and I forgot that I had to do my live stream today. So we just finished, but yeah. I just wanted to come in and say hello, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Has it been, how long has it been since Stitch has been in theaters? Like how many years ago was that? That
About
was
21 years. And
21 years. Wow.
yeah, and I, first question, contrary
Uh-huh.
to films like Atlantis: The Lost Empire or the cult
There are others.
classic treasure planet or the undermined home on the range or Chicken Little, why do people love Lilo and Stitch? Because to this day I still see Stitch merchandise in Walmart.
Well, I live in Mexico, the country of Mexico, and I live up and why do they have Stitch on their face masks? I wonder. Um, that's funny. Uh, I see it every day. Every day that I walk out and I take my wife to work, someone is wearing a Stitch shirt. I think it's one of the most popular. Stitch itself is one of the most popular designs for merchandise that Disney has ever seen. It's huge in Asia. It's huge here in Mexico. I think part of it is the appeal of the character. I mean, he's cute. The design of him is really cute, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just I didn't design him. I animated him. Unfortunately, I can't take the credit for designing him, but it's one of my favorite characters. I draw similar to that, so yep, I have actually. Let's see, where's mine? Whoop, there's my. He's missing a little antenna, but there's mine. There's my guy, my little
Okay,
Funko.
Uncle
But
figure.
I think there's those designs. I mean, even this, like they, Funko did a square shape, but the proportions, the ears to the eyes, to the nose, they're fun. It's just a fun shape language that people enjoy. And he's cute. And I think the color combination makes it really, really, really nice. So yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but I just think it's just one of those things that it just hit a large amount of people. It's one of my favorite characters. I still love it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
So
yeah,
I
my
think
favorite
this.
too. I never thought I'd be able to meet the mastermind behind Stitch. That was
Well, well,
pretty. I never planned on meeting, so it's meet you. Yeah, I'm a big Stitch fan. I was almost 10 years old when the film came out, so that was one
well,
of.
I was 12. No, just kidding.
It's uh, not my favorite movie all told. Probably in the top 10, but not higher than those Renaissance films. But maybe a little underneath there. But yeah, Stitch is
Yeah.
one of
What's
my
like
favorites.
what is
Just
one of your
the character, the energy.
what would be in your top like two?
Um, Probably the whole Disney canon, Beauty and the Beast, and Fantasia. I
Okay,
don't think
Beauty and the
anybody's
well,
beaten those two.
I worked on Beauty and the Beast. That was my first film. I worked on. Yeah, I worked on the Beast.
But what did you do for Beauty and the Beast?
I was a you know what a cleanup
did you?
artist is? You know what a cleanup artist
That's
is?
a great
I was a cleanup artist. I
kind of.
basically
Is that the one that kind of
you,
test?
you make the drawings look pretty. The animators do it rough and do all the performance, and then the cleanup artist draws the final line that goes into the film. So as for Lilo and Stitch, I was an animator. So I actually animated Stitch. Now, I wasn't the creator of Stitch. Chris Sanders, who directed it,
goes to Chris Sanders,
exactly,
who thought that he could make a children's book, but according to Nancy Beeman, he did such a great job designing the dog in Mulan that somehow he was shipped off over to the Walt Disney Animation Studio, Florida, just so that he could somehow make his own movie. And he was starting to make it outside the system. So we had an idea about a creature that was lost in the forest, or maybe it's just a forest creature that was rejected. And this idea started to evolve into what we now know as Lilo and Stitch, the story of an alien. It's sort of like Disney's own E.T., but it's also verbally and abstractly dark. The sisters are having a hard time. They're about to be separated from each other. The Stitch is like a hardcore, like naughty character who just wrecks things, and somehow both the title characters are experiencing a big change throughout this film. Hour and a half, actually.
Now, this is how the meetings usually go.
Well, we also worked on Mulan as well. That was, I worked on all the bad guys, all the Huns. Well, I worked on from 1990 to 2004. I worked on all of the traditional films during that time. So Hunchback to Lion King to Aladdin, all of those films.
Yeah, that's childhood. I was born in '92. I saw all those.
Well, my daughter was born in '92, and my other daughter was born in '94. So you guys are the same age as my kids. So did you have another question?
I was trying to get the origin for the idea, and then he starts to go through the usual storyboard process. But for some reason, he's starting to make a movie outside the system, just at the Florida Animation Studio, because somehow I think I heard something about him trying to want to do it without much approval from Disney, or maybe he was just getting an award system. And then because Disney was busy on a lot of the other stuff in the Burbank studio, they were trying to work on Last Lost Empire and other projects that were going on at the time. And Walt Disney Florida was solely working on Lilo and Stitch. And as you so how did you first suddenly come to animate our little blue hero Stitch? What scenes did you actually work on?
Well, let's see here. So when they announced that the movie would be made at our studio in Florida, we weren't sure if it was going to be made in California or the Florida studio. So we had two different studios, same animation studio, but different locations. So when Chris announced that he wanted to make the movie in Florida with our team, obviously we were very excited. And I immediately asked and requested to work on Stitch, because out of all of the story ideas, that was one of my favorites. So the supervisor of Stitch ended up being one of my good friends, and he wanted me to work with him because I'd worked with him before, and he asked me to work on Stitch with him. So there was, I think, 4 of us all together, 5 of us that worked on Stitch, and I was like second to the supervisor. So a lot of the scenes that I did would be like, do you remember the luau scene when he's sitting there eating a cake with Lilo, and he eats it, and then he goes blech, and he spits it out, puts it back. Well, from that moment,
Feels gross.
so
At the time.
well, that scene then it cuts, and it goes to a scene where he smells something, right? And he smells a chicken leg or an alien leg or whatever you want to call it. And he gets on the ground, he starts sniffing for it. From that point all the way until he's on the ground with Lilo fighting, when he swallowed Pleakley's head, all of that I animated. So I had animated the entire, yep, there's Pleakley right there. Awesome. Awesome. We got a little baby.
That's Jackson's child. Her name is Madison.
That's my daughter, Madison. Say
hi.
Hello, Maddie.
So
she looks so cute and fluffy.
So I ended up working on that scene, and then 4 or 5 scenes after that. The scene where she's praying to the star, the shooting star, and she says, bring me someone who's gentle and kind, or whatever, who could be my friend. And he jumps out of the crater. The first time you see Stitch on the planet, he jumps out of the crater and he starts going da, 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 and he runs. I did all of that as well. And there's a bunch of other small scenes in the movie that I did, but yeah, that was it.
And so Disney suddenly and abruptly decides they're gonna try to market this film by saying, you know what, this film is so different from the other ones that we did before. We're gonna try to diss on ourselves. We're gonna try to mock Disney, and for 2 reasons. Not only because one of their ex people ended up going at this other company, but also somebody once told me the world's gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with the finger
Jordan,
and the thumb.
Jordan, where's this leading to?
That's the main theme song. That's Shrek's theme song.
Nah, I thought it was I believe you're.
People all start automatically when I think of Shrek. So when Shrek suddenly came in and dissed on the Disney canon with its little funny humor and suddenly became a huge success, Disney decided we're gonna market this film with an edge to it. We're gonna try to put Stitch in all these classics: Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, and we're gonna have them like interfere with these other gift indicators. Who's like, hey, get your own movie, and then
those trailers started to come about that way.
Yeah, they were making fun of themselves, but those are fun. I love the whole advertising. You know what I liked about the movie was that it was one of the first movies that they didn't actually make a song that you sang to. It wasn't like a Broadway musical. It was now they had a musical montage rather than a musical. And I thought that was really cool because I enjoyed doing that. Was nice for me because I was getting very tired of working on animated musicals. So having to work on something like that, I think was a really, and it was very different than what Disney had been doing up at that point. And I think it's still going to go down, not maybe the top 1 for certain people over there, but it'll be but it's, for me, it's in the top 10 for sure of films. But now I'm working. What's that?
Yeah, I think so. I put it in the top 10 for sure. There's just so much to choose from that it kind of.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about Disney, but if we're talking about animated movies in general, there's a lot of competition out there for movies.
There is because other studios were starting to really bring in the competition, and I already mentioned Trek before. But as an extra, Disney's budgets were now suddenly going big. But Chris Sanders wanted to downscale the budgets. So to say,
the budget was smaller for this one.
Yes, I know.
But we did a lot more than most movies did because we were very efficient with how we did our animation.
That's because the backgrounds were done in a technique not used since Dumbo, watercolor background design.
Yep.
And
yeah.
And then somehow you end up suddenly screening this movie somewhere to the and you get a rather enthusiastic response, and you think, okay, we're gonna have a hit on our hands, but then suddenly total tragedy strikes. It was not related to the animation studio with this or Disney or anything like that. Nothing was in trouble at Disney. This was way beyond Disney. As a matter of fact, 2 billion people worldwide were watching this tragedy unfold. I can remember where I was. I was in.
Are you talking about 9/11?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so where were you when that happened?
Where were you? Oh, you mean me or I think you were saying, Jordan, that where were you when it happened?
Whitesburg Elementary School, Mrs. Bell's class, 4th grade.
I was driving to work on Mulan. To work on Lilo and Stitch when 9/11 happened on my drive to work. So I was literally I drive into work, and we were all sort of, I was in my late 20s, so I was almost 30 at that point. So it was, everyone just basically went home, watched the news, and then took the day off. Everybody went home because at that point we had to, and I think I know we're going to lead up to this.
I know.
We had a whole sequence that had been boarded and animated, fully done, pretty much almost 95% finished, where there was a whole fight sequence where Lilo and Stitch were chasing, or Stitch was chasing the bad guy
and stuff.
But they were in airplane. They were in an airplane, and they were flying through the city of Hawaii, downtown Hawaii. And
Honolulu.
So it was a whole Honolulu. It was a whole fight sequence. And so because we couldn't do that because of what just happened with the Twin Towers in New York City, with the planes hitting the towers, we had to change the whole design of everything. So in 2 weeks, they remodeled the ships to look like spaceships. And instead of a city, they used volcanoes, but they used the same flight path patterns, the same staging, so that they could minimize the cost of redoing it completely. And so when the spaceship hits with its wing that hits the ice cream, you can still hear me, but my camera just died. Basically, all of that was the same, except for he was standing in the middle of a street when his ice cream falls over instead of on the beach or in a ravine. So anyways, that's my direct story because I was there when it happened, and I was there when we were working on the production. But it was very traumatizing.
Well, I definitely know that but if 9/11 actually did something to me positively, it only justified my sudden it only justified me taking the journey and converting to Christianity. But I don't really think everyone believes that. I mean, Jackson and Sarah and I believe that. I don't know if you do, but we're all supposed to be respectful of others' opinions and beliefs and religions and cultures and be non-discriminatory.
Yes.
I think he's pouring out his soul too much.
That's okay. But I do have to leave because my camera just died and I have to recharge it. But I just wanted to make sure that I'd take a little bit of time aside to meet everybody, and Jordan had asked me and I said yes I would, and I always follow through on my promises. But
okay, nice.
it was really nice to see you guys. And oh, there's Lilo. I see Lilo right there. Yeah. But thank you so much for inviting me to talk with you guys about Lilo and Stitch. And now maybe hopefully I answered a few questions that were mysteries. Important, yes. I mean, since I
about that rendered scene, it seemed like every movie that came out in '02 had to change something because of the attacks. And funny enough, Lilo and Stitch was one of them. I just realized that a few years ago, how much
that's a cool sketch
because of that. And I was wondering how it was to do. It couldn't have been easy because
no, they did. I mean, they did it in 2 weeks, which is a testament to the production crew and how well-rounded everyone is and how good everyone was. And I mean, that the world came together that day. So, it was pretty cool to see that change so dramatically. But anyways, I need to go. But Jordan, you're muted, Jordan. Didn't hear you.
I don't think I am. I was only just mouthing the words, okay, just to know
okay.
will interrupt you.
No, that's okay. But Jordan, thank you for inviting me.
You're so
and
very
Sarah
welcome.
And Sarah, it was very nice to meet you. And I'm sorry.
His name is Jackson Walsh.
Jackson.
Jackson.
Hate you.
Well,
Travis,
nice yeah, Travis. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Travis.
And you guys, if you're ever interested, you guys can always watch us. We do every Wednesday around this time around. We do a live stream and we talk about animation. We do drawings. We just everything about story and everything about animation. And we also like to put our hands in our mouths. What's that?
Who's we? How can I find that?
Oh, it's just if you look up sketch to animate. Find me on Facebook and you can find out all that stuff. But if you dial in sketch to animate, you'll find me. Yeah, you can see my name right there in the icon.
Okay.
And if you just Google that, you'll find me.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, you guys have a great evening.
Nice talking with you.
Aloha.
Nice Aloha. Okay, guys. Have a great night. Bye.
Okay. All right, so let's continue on. Lilo and Stitch, I can remember seeing so much of the advertising go crazy for it. I can remember buying a PC game, and believe it or not, Jackson, it was the movie that suddenly introduced me to Elvis Presley, an absolute American icon. And
yeah, like that about too. I was an Elvis fan before that, but yeah, definitely seeing Stitch rock out with the hair and the glasses, it made an impact on me. I'm a year behind, so I think we had the same sort of grab towards Lilo and Stitch, and that it was probably one of the first Disney films we were introduced to on the big screen because we were too young to see like Beauty and the Beast, Lion King in theaters. So that was first, along with Mulan, Tarzan for me. And like I said, Stitch is one of my favorite characters. And as far as the film itself, it's a good one. I like all the characters and I remember them. Gantu, Jumbo, Bleakley, Nani, Lilo, all of them.
And
series.
And as an extra bonus, considering that it had a good budget and promoted with a good marketing campaign, it actually made
my favorite. He steals Jack Aladdin. Do you remember that?
Your favorite is Aladdin?
Yeah, when he shows up in the PT Cruiser or whatever and takes Jasmine off the magic carpet ride. That
oh, yeah, that's the Aladdin trailer. And thanks to the marketing of the oddities, it made $273 million worldwide, and it was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the 75th Academy Awards. And
who'd it lose to? Spirit from DreamWorks?
Well, I was still a Disney fan. I was still one of these guys who really seemed to believe, because I felt like they were making some cool products. But then executives just suddenly got greedy and then decided, well, we're gonna feed someone to the wolves just to make some money or something.
I'm asking who won Best Animated Feature in 2002. Was it Spirit?
Spirited Away. I believe it was Spirited Away.
Oh yeah, Spirited Away. I forgot about that movie. How can I forget Miyazaki?
Yeah, it was like the first, Japanese movie to like win an Oscar, wasn't it?
Yes, I still have yet to see that movie, but I've seen scenes from that movie, and I got to see the whole thing. I have to. I've heard
that's a good introduction to Miyazaki, that's for sure.
I've heard everybody.
There was even a Lilo and Stitch anime of all things. I did not know this until I seen it pop up on my YouTube videos. Like, what? A Lilo and Stitch anime? I know about the direct-to-video stuff. I know about the series. I know about Lilo and Stitch of all things, but I didn't know about this anime show.
Well, they had a bit of special programming back in the XD, but I think that just goes to show you that Stitch is definitely might be one the best character design of that Disney generation, and my the personality like being adorable and wild.
Well, I think he was mainly influenced by Aquamarine Life or other designs, but some of the inspiration may have come from anime or Pokemon. I'm not sure, but I wish I could have Chris Sanders here to talk about it, because he would know better how this thing went down, because he co-directed it with Dean DeBlois. Yet at Disney, the executives were getting rather greedy and suddenly decided, though, just because this thing is this style is successful and this our style is not, to kind of a weird small-minded thinking, we're gonna feed the 2D department to the wolves and start making CG films, but we're still going to continue making animated films. We're kind of going to make them differently because we want to follow Walt's mantra of keep.
Is this like a lead into like the coming up next thing?
Yeah, because the other studio was about to make a big splash next week. The other studio ends up suddenly taking Disney's lead and going to the place that's better down where it's weather.
Okay, that was a bit wordy again. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's nice to hear how you guys like that Lilo and Stitch too. Now me and my sisters have.
I think we've gotten a little topic
this,
here.
This cloth mask was actually designed by.
I'm trying to make a Disney 100th anniversary marathon and do an amateur docuseries of all the people who have worked have been involved with the magic, whoever I can get who's still alive, who is willing to connect.
We even interviewed a guy who was a crooked NPC of the Navy SEALs, or however that story goes.
He played Bambi.
How are you getting in touch with all these people?
What type of I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook, and I'm also finding their number on the white pages and such.
White pages, you're going old school. I like it.
Anyway, it's been getting a bit over time here.
So
okay.
Sure use the rest after all that. Yeah. Crazy weather we've been having.
100th anniversary. What are they tracing it back to? Whatever silly symphony.
Alice's Wonderland, 1923.
Yeah, it's that 1923 is like the year when Walt Disney set up his animation studio in Hollywood.
Yeah, I figured it was around that time, so it makes sense. I'm just trying to connect all the dots here, because we've
been connecting a lot of dots, and it's not even in December yet.
Yeah, Snow White doesn't turn 100 till 2037, so that's a while from now. So I was trying to track where they were going with that. But as far as Lilo and Stitch, I like it. Great movie. good movie. Really, the heart of the film is the sisters and what throw. Nostalgia critic way better on that than I could. He describes that that's really the heart of the film. But I like all the other stuff too, and how Stitch just takes over and has a character of his own, and have been a main character in a lot of films for a long time, but never have they tried to make an alien relatable. It's always like the weird voices, big eyes, bald heads, something that's weird. They made Stitch a dog, something we all can relate to. They made him like a little dog with the ears, and yeah.
And Puffy.
Yes. They even tried to make him pretend like he was a dog. So playful and kind of ADHD like a little kid, I think relates to a lot of people. That's why he's one of my favorites. Just his own little language that you have to figure out what he's saying.
Yeah, probably don't need to figure out what he's saying. Yeah, sometimes the implication is there.
Yeah, he said something in the beginning of the film, Mika Malaquista, and apparently that's a swear word. I don't know. I don't put it.
You nailed it on the nose there.
Yeah. And the fact that he was experiment 626, meaning Jumba had made 625 prior to him, that plot hole was kind of solved by the series when they were going through the different cousins, through what all their powers were or whatever.
Yeah, that was the fun part.
I like that
Pokemon.
I like the series probably better than I like the movie, looking at, because they did so well with the writing and the crossovers they got in there. They got a Recess.
Yeah, they had like Kim Possible and the kids from Recess.
And there's a couple other shows they had on there too. They blended. Disney used to do that all the time with crossovers. They don't anymore because the shows basically leave each other alone. But back then, it was like everybody knew each other. It was kind of surreal.
The shared universe.
Yeah, exactly. A shared universe. It was kind of the same atmosphere. Like, that's the sweet life of Hannah Montana. They just kind of conglomerated all of them. I haven't seen or Nickelodeon do something like that in a long time.
I think Nickelodeon did that recently, a few years back. They had like a 5-way crossover.
Yeah.
With the sitcoms.
Well, I didn't see that, but it's okay because the message of the film of Lilo and Stitch still connects with the audiences to this very day. I even saw at Dragon Con some Stitch merchandise, and it was pretty cool that people still remember this character to this very day and love him for who he is.
Yeah, the character is probably more memorable than the film, but the film has a lot of memorability to it because it's a sisterly relationship. It's she's trying to keep Lilo from being taken away, and honestly, Cobra Bubbles is a cool character too, even though he's kind of.
I was only yesterday years old when I discovered he actually as part of his backstory, he actually saved the planet from being blown up. That's
kind of a cool tie-in. Even though it's not a musical, they had a lot of great music in it.
From the King and mostly from the King. And
all this stuff.
Yeah, they also had original, music to the culture of the Hawaiian way.
Music, and then Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride's a pretty cool song too. So it had good music in there. It just wasn't a musical.
Yeah, exactly what the animator was talking about.
Yeah. So if you I'll see what I can do for next week. In the meantime, but all of us will be getting to bed. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine. That's fine. It was good to see you guys again. It's been a while. Jordan, you're still living kind of North Georgia now, or
North Georgia, Blairsville, and I have suddenly abruptly moved here because the the house sitter suddenly moved out and then ended up moving to Macon, and then I was stuck with 2 floors I was not using, and then I suddenly moved here lock, stock, and barrel, and now I'm in Blairsville and still waiting for fiber to come in and start accelerating the Wi-Fi speeds, and I'm just, but I do
But
have
yeah, you can tell from his video, it's like, like glitching from time to time. So yeah, he's definitely looking forward to like a stronger Wi-Fi connection there.
fiber from actual installation. The router can't make the internet faster automatically. It comes down to what's going through that cable.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, mahalo for coming. That also includes Travis. If he comes around to watching this video. Anyway, yeah, I think it's time for a good night. So aloha.
Aloha.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's nice seeing the baby.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice being around her every day.
She's your part of Hana now.
Yes, she is. Very important part.
I know. Important part of Ohana. Thank you for coming, Jackson. Bye.
No problem, Jordan. I'd like to talk with you soon.
Okay, bye.
Eh.